It's Freestyle Friday!
Coming in hot with quick shots of inspiration on a variety of topics.
Alrighty, you got Sandy here. I am looking forward to touching on this topic. I think sometimes first of all, we're back in the studio. Is it nice and crisp and clear? I hope so. I'm looking forward to talking on this topic today because I think sometimes we love talking about what we're kind of going through ourselves. And today's topic is having hard conversations. I don't know what it is, what's going on in the world, but lately I feel like there's been several hard conversations that I've had to have. And I go through such a process in my mind when I have to have those hard conversations of like how to approach it. And I'm like ruled by my gut. Anyone else out there ruled by their gut? Like I'll get sick to my stomach thinking about something that I have to do and I'll overthink it and I'll get so much anxiety and I'll lose sleep over and it will like be all consuming. And I know that's so unhealthy. And so the past couple of days, I've been going through that with a situation in my life. And literally moments before I hit record, I put out the conversation. Like I put it out there. I called this friend and said what I needed to say and giving time for it to process and waiting for, that to come full circle. And old me, like old Sandy, was very confrontational and it was like, do or die. Like I have to be right, like defensive mode, like we'll do anything to like have the last word. And that is so unhealthy. I've done a lot of personal growth and I'm not like that anymore. I still do have tendencies of like, getting defensive or feeling like I need to prove my point or whatever. But I keep reminding myself that everything I go through is teaching me something. And I trust that things are always working out for me. And so no matter what happens, whether this person doesn't respond, whether they give me a positive response, a negative response, whether we resolve it, whether we don't, I feel good knowing that I said what I needed to say. And at least it's off my chest. So in having hard conversations, the reason I wanted to have this episode, I know there's people listening that are like, have this idea, like something popping up of like, oh, I have that conversation I need to have. And I hope that listening to this inspires you to do it. Before I had the conversation, I obviously talked about it with Wade in detail. And then I phoned a dear friend and just kind of like explained the situation just because I like to get insight and like hear other people's perspectives. I always like to consider all parties involved, which is really hard to do. But I like to step outside of myself, like step outside of Sandy and think like, okay, what is it like to be this person in the situation? What is it like to be that person in the situation? How could this person be feeling? How could this person be feeling? And really try to understand from all angles, like from all perspectives, rather than just from my perspective, rather than just from my angle, right? Another thing that I do, and maybe this will be helpful for you in the next tough conversation you need to have, is I literally take out a pen and paper and I bullet point my main points because I don't want to get wordy and I don't want to like stumble on what I'm saying. And I always like to sandwich it, like a pro con pro. I think I learned that in like a communications class in college that was like, think of a hamburger, like the bread, the meat, the bread. The bread is the positive. The meat is like hit them with the truth or hit them with what you need to say. And then the bread is the positive again. So it's like, complimenting them, like, whatever it might be like. So it's not like negative, negative, negative. I'm shitting on you constantly. It's like, okay, hey, obviously I admire you. Your friendship means so much to me. Like I've been, going back and forth about this and thinking about how I want to say this. And it's coming from love. And I felt like you might be in the dark and have no idea I feel this. And out of respect for you, I just kind of wanted to bring this up. And then it's hit him with whatever it is. And then it's close it with, I trust that we're going to get through this. I totally respect you. I'm excited to hear like your perspective on things. And I believe that we'll get to a space where we both understand where we're coming from and how we kind of like got in this situation. So that's how I go about it. I also want to hear from you guys. Like after you listen to this, like we always check all of our messages on Getting Magnetic Instagram, or you can email us at gettingmagnetic@gmail.com. I want to know what helps you. Like what have you learned in your lifetime through having difficult conversations? I feel like we've all had difficult conversations like 2020, 2021. Like there's just been a lot of things that have happened in the world that have created a lot of divide and tension among close friends, family members, just controversial topics. And so we've all had those conversations, but I want to know, like, what have you learned and what has helped you overcome like some of that fear around having those tough conversations? there's so many ways to go about it. Those are just some things that work for me, like talking about it with my spouse, phoning a friend, really thinking on it. Like I let myself sleep on it for a couple of nights before I go all out and talk about it, because I want to give myself time to process. And like I said, be in everyone's shoes and really think about like, how did we get here type of thing. So yeah, I hope that was helpful. If you're going through something right now, something difficult, a difficult situation in your life, or maybe there's some tension in a relationship, just come back to that knowing. And I do this all the time. Come back to the knowing, like, what is this teaching me? Like, I am not going through this. I am growing through this, right? This is teaching me something. This is teaching me something. This is teaching me something. All day I've been like, I am so grateful that this is coming up again in my life, because I obviously didn't learn the lesson the first time. So how can I go through this situation with more grace this time? And I'd be lying if I said it hasn't like completely shifted my energy and my mood. Like Wade and I totally got in a heated conversation before this, because he's like, God, this is like consuming you. Like you got to just like do it. Like, why is it taking you so long? It'll literally take you like 2 to 4 minutes. And it's been 3 days and you haven't done it. And I'm like, I know, you're right. I hate when he's right sometimes, but it's just like avoiding that conflict. So I want you to think through, what conflict are you avoiding? What situations are heavy on your heart, maybe making you feel sick to your stomach, keeping you up at night, that you need to address, but you're just not, because it's easier to ignore it. And I want to challenge you to get that done this week. Have that conversation. Go through whatever process you need to go through. If it's like me, jotting down notes, phoning a friend, talking to your spouse about it, sleeping on it, taking time, whatever it is, do what you got to do. Maybe literally listen to a meditation before, clear that energy, light a candle, take a bath. I don't care what it is. But what I've been visualizing is like peace at the end of this. Like I've just been visualizing, regardless of what happens, regardless of where this goes, I'm grateful for a peaceful heart at the end of this. And just knowing that I stood up for myself and said what I needed to say, rather than brushing it under the rug. It's so easy to brush things under the rug sometimes. And it can be really, really to bring something up, especially if you feel like the other person has no idea and they're going to be blindsided. But yeah, I hope this was helpful. I hope this inspires you to resolve conflict or have that tough conversation and reach out. I want to hear what you do. And I also want to hear if this episode inspired you to resolve something in your life. I'd love to know. It always feels good to get feedback and know that something that we're talking about is really resonating with you guys and helping. So thank you for listening. Have a good day.
Only those that can see the invisible can do the impossible.
So remember, you are magnetic.